Hi, this is Farrell. Welcome to Robot Tod, page 22 of issue 2. And this week I started off with doing a sketch in my sketchbook that didn't have anything to do with Robot Tod. It was just something that I felt like doing. And then I think this is actually the second session on it. Like, I think I laid it all out. It was in front of my computer. But then went back in and did more, took a video of some of me doing it. And that's basically the stage that it's at now, and I'll probably work on it more at some point. But yeah, it was just a way to get kind of warm up and get in a drawing mode. So here's the thumbnails, and I don't have any video of me doing the pencils on them, so I thought I would show some of the extended thumbnails for the rest of the issue. Basically, this is there's just like 4 more to go before the story part of the comic is over. And this is like the first pencil pass, and you can see in the third panel there, it's different than this third panel. I ended up drawing it all fairly like, okay, this is kind of how I want everything. But then I was having trouble with the crow, and I was like, I don't really want 2 close-up shots of the crow anyway. So let me pull back in this one, and yeah, I just thought it worked a little better. Usually I ink the letters first, or any dialogue that I had, and this time I kind of just sort of wanted to get a jump start, I guess, on inking all those little guys in the forest. So and I did a lot more inking of backgrounds than I do normally. So far I've just been painting the backgrounds and inking the main characters, but this page has a lot more ink on it. The last few have as well than the rest of the series so far. So I ended up doing some dialogue for this page, but not the stuff you see in the third panel that I cut. Well, I just didn't ink it, and I painted over it in pencil, and then I scanned it in. I was like, oh, I can see that a little too well, and you can still see kind of a ghost image. I did like a revision of it, but it doesn't really bother me because it's kind of like maybe that guy was saying that line, and it just wasn't being transmitted, that clearly. So, yeah, but in the first panel, the wizard is like, there you are. And then the second panel, that Tod says his line. And, yeah, I did the wizard guys in cursive and did Tod's in his, like, sort of robotic font there. And I just kind of BS'd that shadow around you can see at some point when I'm coloring it, there's a shadow underneath the raven. And I should have just inked that on there when I was inking and doing, coloring the crow and stuff. But, I mean, I kind of did a little bit, but, yeah, I ended up later just kind of going over it with a bunch of paint. But I hear this kind of pen here that I'm using to ink a lot of this with is a Faber Castell Pitt pen. And with those crows, I mostly did them with a brush, and then I think I went in with the Pitt pen. There's also those Pigma Micron pens, which are pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I inked them. I think they kind of switched back and forth between using a brush and using those pens for a lot of the ravens or crow creatures that are flying around there. And I think I mostly used the brush for the the little tendril things. And that hairy eyeball thing is, I got that from Gigi no Kitaro. And it's like a yokai, like a demon. It's this manga series that I think Drawn and Quarterly put out a English translation of it, but it's really good. It's like this monster hunting kid who is like ghost of his dad lives in his eye, and anyway, check it out. So yeah, here's the like first color pass on it, I guess. Yeah, I did this I was trying to emulate the other pages in this series so far as like the skyline with those orange clouds and then sort of like a blue, green, gray, kind of gray-green sky. And one of the other things I kind of wanted to go back and work on it a little more after I scanned it was that in the third panel, it seemed a little too green, like I added too much green, and didn't have that kind of like, you know, translucent quality that the other pages that had the sky in it had. So yeah, I'm penciling this guy and then inking it all first, and then watercoloring it. That's and using some gouache as well. So watercolor and gouache with this brush, the Raphaël 8404, and it's the same brushes that I used to ink with. And yeah, for a while I used to, like, you know, save my nicest brush for inking, and then I would use my used brushes that were a little more frayed. I would use those for coloring because I felt like I didn't have to be as precise. But now I just use the same brush. I just keep washing it out every night, and pretty much exclusively use that, unless I have to do something special or odd, like do a big area. I'll get like a bigger flat brush or something, but I mostly use this like number 2. It's a pretty small brush, and yeah, ink it with it over a couple nights, and then I'll you know, wash it out after every session, and then I use it for watercoloring for like the next couple nights. And then I don't know how long it lasts me, like an issue or 2 before I have to get a new one. Yeah, so this time watercoloring, it was a lot more layers, like me doing big washes over big areas, even over, because I knew, you know, I knew it was going to be a little challenging or frustrating, I guess, trying to color in each one of these little characters in the last panel, but figured it'd be good just to do like a yellow layer over in like a really light yellow. Yeah, a lot of the coloring I do in different stages. Like, okay, I've got yellow on my brush. Here I'm going over all the yellow areas on Todd's suit. I feel like that's like a stage of coloring. It's like, okay, now it's time to color Todd's his suit, put like some gray shadows in there, and I have to add all the yellow, and then I usually do like another pass after it's dried to darken certain areas, you know, make areas seem a little more orange yellow, and kind of give certain areas a highlight. You know, it's usually like the highlight is whatever the first pass of yellow was, and everything else is like kind of darker areas with more value to them, just to kind of show that it's like kind of shiny metal that's curving and stuff. I kind of sort of just fake it based on like the shape of like, oh, what would like a face mask look like, and you know, and how the light would hit it, and then I just keep adding little areas of color, like the blue for the blue gray for the shadows, and then the yellow orange thing for the mask. And the stripes and stuff, I don't do that as much. I mean, here I have like a drop shadow in the middle. So I think this is pretty much, we're coming to the, I was mostly talking about the second panel too when I was talking about all that. But this is, I think, getting really close to the end here, the final passes, or maybe not. It looks like there's still a bunch of areas. I'm looking at holding the real page in my hand right now as I'm also making this voiceover. And I'm looking at a picture of myself holding this. You know, looking at this now too, the first panel I should have had the shadow from the raven crow creature be visible on his, at least on his legs or something, like, because he'd be basically right over him. And I pretty much do an overhead lighting source on all the pages, but yeah, here you can see the finish. That's the final thing, and I think this is that's the old version there, where you can kind of see the lettering in the third panel. It's like a little more legible, and I think this is after I painted over it. And so there's the thumbnails, the start of the page, and then there we got the pencils and the inks. And here's the colors, the finished ink, watercolor, gouache thing, the revised lettering fixed, and there's some of my other books if you want to check those out. And I have a Patreon, $2 a month. You can read all these pages. Thanks for watching. Bye.